What's up? Basay, as we out here. If you're catching this right now on the story, I want you to go ahead and click it. I want to share a little bit about what went down in last night's men's group. Not too much, right? We're speaking to the subject of judgments. And so it is a very important thing that has come up. And I think even amongst the men, it's been fantastic to really be able to dive in, to have a space, because we judge each other so much. And the most beautiful thing that came up within the group gathering is the realization, and maybe you felt this before, of the way that we judge each other from a space of wanting to protect ourselves, from a space of the things that have happened to us before. So I started off with the drum. This drum, Kunapku, I've named after my brother Kukul Balam. And the intention of beating the drum, my sister who works with the drum, is to call in the ancestors to open up the portal, to open up the space for us to be able to receive and to give and to come into a rhythm shared together. So last night's gathering was epic. We had it at Radio Tulum, and we had about, I feel like nine or 10 guys that showed up. All of them serious, everyone coming with their different thing. And what was important to me as we dove into this subject of judgment is to realize a lot of times we are judging ourselves, we're judging other people with judgments that aren't even ours. Also, we have judgments on the judgment. Also, we've been told, even in the journey of our spiritual growth, hey, the first step is to stop judging. Well, I call bullshit. Why? How can we stop? Judging is a natural part of what it is to be here. What I suggest, and what we may implement as a group of men who are seeking to have a standard to define, to hold the good aspects of masculinity of the past and to incorporate new ways in our judgments, is to actually have them. Allow your judgments to surface. Look at them as honestly as you can. Share them with some of the people that you trust, and then come to a place to see if those judgments are actually taking you to a space, if they're actually revelatory. They help you to see yourself, to see others from a place that's actually real, and with the intention to get somewhere as a people, to get somewhere in your brotherhood, to get somewhere in your business. So your judgments help you to open the door to discernment. They're a part of you. We judge other people most often because of fears. So what are your fears? Right? So the judgment is a portal, it's a doorway. Same thing with blame. By the time a person, even myself included, has stepped into a place where I'm blaming other people and not taking responsibility, mind you, all of this is projected from my mind, from your mind. We're the ones projecting into this reality. So we can allow that to be a great part of our kuleana and take extreme ownership. By the time that we are blaming, we have started a process. And the first other two steps of that process of blame are denying a truth or an essential truth, and then beginning to create a delusion, another matrix within the matrix around there. And within that delusion, we disempower ourselves and we begin to blame everything else outside of ourselves. So there are things that happen, and there are components of the things that happen that are a part of the unfoldment. That's looking at it how it is in truth. But then when we come into a place of blame, we know it, we can feel it. Everything else is my fault, everyone's against me, but everyone is you. So it's really you against you, and you are everyone. So how do you navigate and come to that space? In putting all that energy into avoiding the judgment, we still judge. We still judge ourselves for having the judgment. So what I do within myself is I say, fuck it, I can be judgmental, but I don't stay judgmental for a long time. And there's the judgment. All right, what's this judgment that's popping up? I might even write it down in my journal and look at it. Then I ask the question, okay, I'm having this judgment. Now, is this aligned? Is this true? Is this really what I believe about these people that I'm surrounded by? What is going on in the reality to show me that this is a fact or a fiction or somewhere in between? And how do I get to that clear space? Why? Because I want to use judgment for discernment. They say that the organs testify against you. Maybe you can find this in Torah later and even in some Kabbalistic teachings. Why? Because you have these items within your body that are part of your galaxy, and they're recording the whole experience. And so to speak to saying your innards, the inner part of you will testify against you, That's a true statement. How does it testify? How do they testify? Well, when you do things, even that nobody knows about, they manifest, okay? And so that manifestation is, you could say a judgment, but it is really the unfoldment. And someone can look at that manifestation and be able to tell that something else is amiss if they have the eyes to see. And then maybe they pass a judgment, but maybe that judgment, again, opens up a door for discernment. So with the men in the men's group, it was really beautiful to come to a space of a deeper understanding of the judgments that we've held against ourselves and other people, to come to a decision as a group of men to say, hey, now this is a part of our reality. These are things that we've done. A lot of times these judgments haven't led to a healthy unfoldment in our lives, in the lives of the people around us. And then we identify that, okay, these judgments are stemming from us trying to protect ourselves. From what? What else is there but you? Nothing to fear but fear itself. Now there are things that happen that we want to be cautious of, but I'm speaking to, and I want to be really particular, right, and more succinct. There are things that happen that have a consequence, and we can fear them, or we can acknowledge that this is what happens, and then identify how do we avoid that consequence. If the consequences happened, and maybe it created a trauma, we can utilize the trauma to remember, hey, this could happen, but I also have now all that data to identify how I avoid allowing that circumstance to happen. And maybe a new circumstance happens, but the same thing never happens. That's actually a truth of our reality. Something new happens with similar stimuli, similar data, similar input. Similar is not the same as same. It's similar, right? It's not same, but different. It's similar, not the same, and different. I want you guys to consider what I'm sharing. So with the judgments, we got into how we judge women sometimes, and also what's really, painful and interesting for the men to speak to is how they feel judged by the women around them, by the other men, navigating in the space of how a judgment can feel like a betrayal. And I want to again offer to you, judgment is going to happen. People are going to judge you. Judgment doesn't kill you. Judgment doesn't feel nice. Now, people's behavior after a judgment could possibly create trouble for you, and that can be addressed. But where are you at, men, women, with judgment? I think we're going to talk about this in the men and women's group tonight over at Holistica. And one of the things that I definitely work on with the men in the men's groups, in the masterminds, with the blueprint, is identifying how do you look at yourself? How does everyone else, as far as you're concerned, as far as you know, see you? How do you see them? Then it becomes holistic. How do you look at nature? How do you look at your partners? How have you been looking at your relationships? Let's say that you're in a pause and a break and you're not with someone, or you even are with someone. How are you navigating your judgments of that person? Are you taking time and a break to look at the way that you look at that person? Pause. What's the judgment that you have? You see how the judgments can stack up? You'll have a judgment about your judgment, about the judgment that someone else had on you. This will lend to confusion. So, for the sake of clarity, it may be easier just to say, shit, I'm judging that person. And that judgment upon them is actually a judgment upon me if we're in a unified field. If we're really connected, and although I'm here and it appears that we are disconnected because there's something in between us, that thing in between us is the medium of our connection, whether it can be seen in our visible spectrum or not. So, if we're all connected, we're navigating in consciousness as the divine consciousness, as little pieces, reflecting upon each other, and we're having judgments on that reflection, I want to encourage you, just as we encouraged the men, and we came to an agreement last night, that we can take those judgments and we can do good by them. To do good, I mean, we can take the judgments and use them as something foundational to come into discernment. Therefore, that judgment doesn't stick. Judgment is just a key that opens a door to look at a thought process, to look at a reaction, and to say, is that the reaction that's actually aligned? Is it congruent? Is it compensatory? Meaning, does it compensate for what's actually happening? Is it aligned to a logic and common sense? Or am I following a program? Am I following an imposition, something that's been imposed from the outside, and that I'm allowing to recreate itself within me to keep me from being close to the people around me? to keep me from moving through the things that would allow me to have a more fulfilling, beautiful, connected, powerful life. Those is my little talk, my little share. And I open it, and I extend this to you, those of you who jumped on, thank you. Think about your judgments. How are you judging yourself? How are you judging the other people? How are you projecting things upon people? Because I do it. But I'm telling you right now, my ability and my dedication to continue to allow my judgments to arise, this is a way of self-love and accepting, to not stick in them. I just want to see them. I just want to know that they're there, because they are. So I don't have to deny that. Oh, I regain a lot of energy that I was using just trying not to judge. So judge. Then wait. Don't stop there. Judge. Here's the judgment now. It's in your face. Look at it. This judgment that is before me, what is it telling me? Because now that judgment can give you a lot of insight as to your fears. It can give you a lot of insight as to your programming. It can open a door to discernment, which is actually really powerful. Because you can discern the fact that, hey, I'm judgmental, I judge, but my judgment comes from pain. I can start to work on that. It's coming from a fear. Well, okay, then I need to move a little bit more cautiously in my interactions when this certain scenario or dynamic comes up, and then you can chart the shift. Now in business, we speak to metrics, measurable outputs that you can look at to see change. When we work together in the men's groups, we're going to have metrics. I'm keeping metrics. I keep a notebook. I can look over things after a long time, and I can chart progress. That is the same thing when you have a gratitude journal. In business terms, a gratitude journal is a medium for you to chart progress and give thanks and not overlook actual, factual, beautiful things that are happening in your life, so that you don't fall into an energetic of denying the good, the amazing. And if you don't deny it, what you put your attention on and your intention grows. So if you're putting your intention on the fact that, wow, my life is amazing. Yesterday I had a fantastic gathering with the men. I had fantastic discussions with brothers. I feel closer to all the people that I've had discussions with, hard or soft, so to say. Hard or soft meaning real man discussions where we just tell it like it is, but we hold the intention to get through despite any emotions that come up. The fact that we are brothers, that we're going to navigate together, we're going to be of good effect in society, we're going to help each other to attain our vision, and we're not going to fuck people over in the process. We're going to lift them up. And if you need to see and point out something within me as a brother that can be changed so that I can hold that dynamic and that energy for the better good of society, the women, the children to come, and bring that into the fold, then you speak to me. You tell it to me like it is. And guess what? I'm going to do the same. Why? Because I'm dedicated to you. You, brothers. I'm dedicated to you, divine goddesses. I'm dedicated to your children. That's good enough for me in this life. Because what we do when we're coming from that space is we get to really work on character. We get to work on long-term, expansive things that build us up as people. And these are the things that we get to take with us. One might argue or might even say, or you could even look into this. If you live a life a certain way, and then you transition at the end of the life in that vibration, when we speak to karma, we're speaking also to the reflection of the experience that you had echoing into the next experience, because there's things that we come here to solve. We come here to, some people have come to create problems and the other ones to solve them, and we can get into that with sacred contracts, but I think that'll be for another call. My question for you is, where are you judging? Are you at peace with it? Probably not. Fine, let's be honest. Is it really reasonable to say, I'm not going to judge anymore? Or is it more reasonable, more applicable, more doable to say, you know what? I have judgments. Breathe that in. Honesty. Okay. Now, these judgments aren't the end-all, be-all. Okay, now there's an opportunity for liberation. I'm going to look at these judgments. You can look at the judgment itself as a thing. Separate the judgment from you. You are not your judgments, but you respond, you react, you take on the judgments of other people. Okay, I'm not the judgments. There's some freedom now. I can back up and look at it. What comes from the judgment? The things that are coming out of it, are they beneficial? Is this judgment bringing me into a darkness, so to say, or is it bringing light on my life and the life of others and the dynamics? Mercy, thank you. I'm also reading the comments and I appreciate it. So now that I've looked at these judgments and I've looked at some of these things, because it's so important for us to discern, what is the discernment? The discernment is, here's an example, we have our brother Evan, right? Sorry, bro, I'm gonna call you out. Now, Evan has the brainchild of mentorship. Of course, he came and he sat with embodiment we talked about. He says, you know what? I want to learn about men and myself. All right, I'm going to create this gathering. Now, the space that we hold for mentorship is for men to come and bring themselves here, to have a mirror to look at themselves and to step into self-improvement, to build confidence, to embrace impermanence, to embrace the beauty of change, to become better men for all those around us, and to love ourselves and to see who we are in truth and to be able to navigate. Now, what I know, what Evan knows, is that everything exists in this space. And I'll just speak for myself. I'm well aware that everything needs to exist, and we have curves. We have curves that express a distribution of the statistics of what we've observed that exists within the space that we share. All right? Sometimes we call it a bell curve, right? So within that distribution, you have maybe a certain amount of things, which may be smaller at the top of the curve, and then as you come down, broader, until you hit, I don't know, the horizontal asymptote, or like whatever comes, to the most broad number, or we can call it a pyramid, but it's not a pyramid. So now, to not get lost in that, within that space, if everything must exist, then what we can do is say, okay, we're looking at the things that exist. And then, so we're not saying they can't exist, we deny them because it wouldn't be the realm that it is. That's a denial of where we're at within this matrix. Everything exists here for its own purpose. Not all those purposes may align with the experience that you're choosing to have. You're an empowered divine being. You can look at, should you choose to. Not everyone can do this. That's fine, because that's part of the curve. But if you're one of those beings that needs to look at some things, just the fear of it has crippled you in a way that you can't open your eyes, and you probably judge yourself for it. Well, there's always something you can do to begin to open and shift yourself along that curve, because you have your own trajectory and journey here. A lot of times we judge people for what we're looking at their journey, but we don't know enough about them. We don't inquire. We, from afar, maybe we don't have the time to inquire. So the judgment is, like we said, it's a projection based on a fear, maybe to save us time, maybe to save us trouble, maybe to respond to a trauma and try to avoid it, and or to not look at something within us. So my brother shows up, he's got 5 ladies, he's in, where is it, Costa Rica, and he's happier than he's ever been. Sure, everything for each person. Now, if he's doing something heinous with those people, that's another story. But if everyone's of age and consent and they decide they want to be together, Ezriah doesn't have a judgment. Not only that, Ezriah, as a person that's rolling with him, will say, okay, what's the deal? Where you at? And if I receive, oh man, I'm so happy. This is probably the happiest I've ever been in my life. This is actually what's going on. This is what's not going on. Well, I've got the inside track, and I have enough discernment within myself to be able to tell and call bullshit. And I will, because that's my commitment to the brothers that are closest to me. If you're one of my friends, one of my close friends, and now be kind for the most part, right? I'm a tactful man. I can be tactful. My intention is for us to grow, but I will also, and I invite you to do this, I'll call bullshit. Why? Because I have a high expectation for you. And you have a high expectation for me. Please enjoy that meditation. Thank you, Paul Libri. Loving you. And thank you for tuning in. Also, Medical Tulum, thank you. And so this is the standard within these groups. But really, this is my standard, and I'm holding to it. I want to be able to call bullshit because I need you to be able to call bullshit. And we can also investigate both of our callings of bullshit with other perspectives, because it's really to get into clarity and coherency, and we can stand very strong as men, as friends, as men and women, and hold each other in accountability. But with this accountability, again, with the judgments, we can still be off. We can hold someone accountable without really us being without us accounting for our amount of knowledge on who they are, what they've been through, what is actually going on. So we've been, we're in a culture of just look at it, make our thing, talk a lot of shit, and yeah, I've been part of that culture too in some ways. But at this point, I'm okay with other people's judgments, especially those who aren't taking the time to get to know me, to inquire, because I'll be honest about what's going on with me. I'll be honest about my journey in the medicine. I'll be honest about my journey in marriages. I'll be honest about my journey with, sex addiction, any drug addiction, organ failures, cancers. Why? It's my fucking experience. And you know what I'm saying? Like, it's mine. It's mine. It's mine. But also it's yours too. And so the reason I'd be honest is for you to gain some insight as to the experience that you're having in my body. That's high level, so to say, but it really isn't. It's more common sense. So I want to simplify some of these things, and I really think that was a great topic to discuss with the men, and I'm excited to have this discussion with the men and the women together. And of course, there's going to be some leadership and structure in organization, because I know it can get out of hand, and some of the things that can happen are within a space of opening up. We have judgments, and they can be projected, and we can call out people in certain ways based on our thing and not be aware of it because we're so triggered. So I got the gavel in regards to that, and I'm even willing to check myself. But what I'm also willing to do is get to the tail end. And every time we do this, wow, we are made stronger as a people. We really feel the connection between us, and so it's a matter of perseverance, contemplation, reflection, and action. Again, actually intention. Then with that intention, you take some action. Then with that action, you're going to need perseverance. Why? Because some action doesn't unfold as quickly as you think, just like my lives. And then you get to the end, and then you reflect upon the end. What did we call that in a play? I believe it's called, or I think it's called a denouement, as a part of literature, where you come back and you look. In Marvel, they call it the introduction to the next movie. Well, we're living an interesting dream together, and within the dream there are things that maybe we label as a certain thing, and maybe things that we don't talk about, that now we get the time to talk about. I'm going to be doing these posts on the subjects that I'm feeling into, that are not wedge issues per se, but that are issues that will also help us to get through the times ahead. If you can be aware of your judgments, then people can't come and layer things on you, because you can always go back to who you are inside, your truth, and then you can use that for discernment so that you're not getting caught up in the Maya, in the illusion. We're in Tulum. I'm in a vortex of illusion. It is what it is. I go to sleep, I'm in another dream. I wake up, I meditate, I'm using my Kundalini energy. Well, imagination Kundalini energy is also creating another dream. So, brother rolls with the drum now, Just as a wake-up call, just as an alarm. And also, it's really fun and a good friend. So I'm going to end this live, and, next time I pop on, I'm just letting you guys know if you want to jump on. I'll probably do these lives around this time of day. I'm open to people jumping in and sharing their insights, whether it's in the comments or jumping on the live with me, because it's more fun a lot of times than just having Ez talk. But I definitely want you to receive in these next 60 lives that I'm going to do, that are on topics that I know have been relevant, super relevant for me shifting my life. And if you just think about them, take the opportunity to journal. I'm giving you a free 60-day set of workshops and retreats. Think about it. I'm depositing. Rish, what's up, my brother? How's the UK doing? I'm going to play just a little bit of drum for you. I invite you to just take a breath. You can come back. This is for you to receive the activation of what I've shared today in regards to judgments, for you to think about, to identify within yourselves. How are you judging other people? How are you judging yourself? How are these judgments a projection that go back and forth in the mirrors of our reflection with one another? Then also, how can people say drop the judgments. It's very difficult. You waste a lot of energy. How can you just have your judgments, look at them, unfold them, and then use them as a catalyst to discernment? Man, you'll make strides really swiftly if you do that. I judge. It's what the fuck I do. I own it. All right? But I take those judgments and I look at them, and then I work with them, and I massage the shit out of them, and I make them go, oh, you know what I'm saying? And then when they go, oh, I go, no, what's up, baby? What's up? What's up, judgment? What's your issue? And judgment goes, wow, I was just, pressing too hard on the leg. I was just thinking, I'm nervous. I'm scared about these people around me because I feel like they're looking at me a certain way. I'm like, oh, okay, all right, let me get the calf. I'm being facetious, right? When I hit the calf up, they're like, oh, all right. I realize that then the judgment speaks. It speaks its issue. The issue is it's afraid of people judging because it's afraid for being safe, because last time it felt judged, it felt alone, it was weak. You know what I'm saying? And then in that weakness, they were bullied. So now to protect themselves, they're making a judgment on someone based on their exterior look, based on the sound of their voice, which actually you can discern, but they're stopping at the judgment. They're prejudging for protection, and it's avoiding them from actually a really good connection, a beautiful connection. With what? With who? A connection with another aspect of themselves. Right? Another part of yourself. So let's drop the prejudgment, but drop it on a piece of paper. Drop it somewhere where you can see it. Big love to you, my man. And then look at it. Make the commitment to look at it. Now I have a group of men who've made the commitment, who understand where I'm coming from with this, and they're like, yo, this aligns. So if I'm speaking truth, it'll align. If not, say, as you're full of caca, drop it in there. Drop your judgments in this thing. And we can rapidly reframe. I will receive the judgments. I'm open to receiving judgments. That's what makes me a powerful man. I sit with racism. I've sat with people who are quote unquote racist, and they said some foul shit, and I've been like, so wait, you're calling me this name because of what? Well, because you're ignorant and you're dumb. I'm like, how do you know that? Well, because this. And if you keep asking questions, eventually they're like, well, damn, I don't know. Once you get to the I don't know, now we're both telling the truth. Well, if we both don't know, what's our issue? Well, shit, I guess I grew up down south. That's why I'm using that accent. I guess I don't know. You don't know. And maybe being lied to. Well, damn, you're all right. I'm like, you're all right. Why? Because Joe racist, David, I'm using names, but you know what I mean. This person, this individual, has just been led astray. They don't know, but I know it because I know that they're an aspect of myself. The aspect of myself that believes something about me, but hasn't done the detail, the research. They don't know actually who's playing them from afar. They don't know that we're in the same space. We're going through the same things. I'm just going through it in this frame, which is a little bit harder based on the aggression that I'm receiving, but I've got aggressions towards you too. I didn't beat your ass once a while ago, and now you hit, we've been through all these physical things, and in the process, at some point when we're tired, we realize, man, do we even want to do this? Well, I'm just being honest about it. No, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do that no more. But I'm willing to, again, protect myself. I'm willing to be, quote unquote, ready, combat ready, so to say. But I want to, if I need to fight, I want to fight for the right things. And if I don't need to fight, then I'd like to enjoy what it is to feel harmony between us. To remember the we that we are. We're fighting the wrong people. You know what I'm saying? So with that said, take a breath. For those of you who have caught this and watched this till the end, and just breathe. Thank you for tuning in. I'll see you guys. Base, and aloha. Share this.